WPIAL podcast, Trib Live High School Sports Network. Here to salute our WPIAL Week 3 Team of the Week, the Fighting Eagles of Avella High School. We got to throw them a lot of love. What a great start they are off to. 4th victory in 4 games this past Friday. Veteran coach Ryan Cecchini is kind enough to join us to accept the accolades. I think this is our first chance to get to talk. Great admiration. It's not easy coaching in any environment these days, but when you have 90 players on the sidelines and a lot of them are headed to Division I schools, it's a tad easier, even though with expectations can come controversy. What you and other coaches of your ilk doing at small schools that don't have the great tradition, but are playing for the love of the game, which is why I fell in love with high school sports many years ago. Kudos to you.
Thank you very much. It's definitely a lot of work.
Let's give some because my colleague Chris Harlan talked to you last week, and I loved some of the insight you gave as you were preparing to open up Tri-County South Conference play, and just some of the things that I don't know that a lot of folks realize, the hurdles that you have had to deal with during your entire head coaching career at Avella with roster size. Some years have been better than others. Some years the talent has been better than others, but a lot of times you're fighting up against it. And I thought your breakdown, especially of your practices, was great insight, because a lot of folks, I'm sure, don't even think about those things.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things is that how do you get a good practice when a lot of times for practice you got less than 20 guys, or you're right at 20 guys, which we're at this year. A lot of times I explained to him that, we do half line. We'll do from either center to tight end, or we'll do from guard to tight end. Then we can have enough and fill in for a defense. And a lot of times assistant coaches stand in for defense and play linebacker, DB, wherever they have to, just so we can get a look and get enough people on the field to make it look like it's a game scenario. It's very – you got to come up with some creative ideas to make sure you can maximize, what you can do in practice.
Have you, when you first started back in 2011, did you lean on other coaches from small schools for insight on what you can do in practices during the week?
You know what? A little bit. Really, the first year was a huge learning curve for me. That was a tough year. We were in the last year, the Black Hills. We went 0-10. I mean, I learned a lot that year. And we only had, I think that year we had 2 seniors and 1 junior on the team, and the rest were freshmen and sophomores. So we were a very, very young team. And then the next year it got a little better. The next year I also I was able to get 2 older coaches on my staff. One was my cousin Dan Cecchini. The other one his name was Gary Rankin. And both of those combined, they had over 30 plus years, experience coaching. They had coached in the 70s and 80s. And so I was able to lean on them a lot. And they helped me kind of turn the corner of what you can and can't do with, a small roster in a small school like us.
Gary, any relation to Jim?
I don't think so. I'm not positive.
The old North Allegheny coach.
But yeah, Gary actually played at Avella. He lives in Burgettstown now. And Gary actually, he played Avella in the 50s, and then he went on to become the backup quarterback at Clemson in the 60s. So he was pretty successful. Yeah, and he was also on the baseball team at Clemson, a dual sport athlete that, not many people know about from around here.
Yeah. He was there in the glory days in the late 50s, early 60s of Avella football. Are you an Avella guy?
Yes. Actually, my dad was on the 1961 championship team.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had a lot of insight from him too, growing up, and heard a lot of stories. So yeah, born and raised in Avella, so my whole life.
Beautiful. And I think that's what, one of the things I thought of was, your team has had some success. It's not 1-9, 1-9, 1-9, 1-9. There have been some lean years, but You had some success early on. You've had some recent success. Um, wondering, okay, what keeps you going? Because again, the hurdles are tremendous in a school district like that. But knowing that bleed the blue and gold helps a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. And every year brings a new challenge. I told Chris this in the interview. I don't know if it made it in the paper or not, but the one thing not a lot of people know about is with a small roster, and for me, every year changes, is the fact that a lot of times we have to change our whole system. If we don't have a quarterback or our quarterback graduates, other schools just bring the next guy in. Well, sometimes we don't have the next guy. So
Right.
if we were a throwing offense one year, the next year we might be a running offense. I know a few years ago we were running spread because we had probably 6 or 7 decent wide receivers or really good wide receivers on our roster. And then they all graduated. And then the last few years we've had 1 or 2. So now we run the wing T because we got a lot of running backs running around. So we got to kind of change our scheme almost every year to fit the personnel we have. And that's the same on defense. Do we have a lot of defensive linemen, or do we have a lot of linebackers? So it's definitely a new challenge every year. And it's almost kind of like a puzzle. How do you fit everything together and make it as successful as possible?
But that, I would think that kind of excites you. That gets you.
Oh yeah.
Like during the off season, when you kind of have an idea what you're going to have on the roster, you and your coaches get together, and maybe an adult beverage or two is in the general area, and just coming up with ideas. How can we best position the talent that we have? And like you said, that not only is a year to year thing, that might be changing from week 2 compared to week 7.
Oh, absolutely. Injuries are a huge deal for us because it's not like the next guy up. Last year we lost our quarterback, broke his hand, his non-throwing hand, but he missed a game. It was actually against Cal, who we play this week. And we had 2 kids. One was a wide receiver, one was a wing back for us that had never taken a varsity snap before quarterback. And we had to try to get them prepared in 3 days to play a varsity game. It was kind of crazy. We didn't have another kid on the whole roster that had taken a varsity snap in a game. So it's like a house of cards. You got to shuffle everything around when one guy gets hurt. That's definitely, even with the line. And a couple of years ago we played a game against Carlington, and they dressed, I want to say 40 or 45 guys, and we dressed 14. And 2 of our linemen got hurt, and we finished that game with 12 guys. And at right tackle I had a wide receiver, and at left tackle I had a running back.
Oh,
and we ended up winning the game 32-28. So that was it was kind of crazy. That was definitely one team I was very proud of with how they played.
Oh yeah, crazy. But when you face that kind of adversity, and it's whether you win or lose, the fact that guys are ready to step up,
right,
and do something different in order to help the team, but you add the sweet taste of victory to it. Man, that
makes it even better.
Yeah, that's manna from heaven for you and your staff. Are you still running scout team fullback, or do you rely on the younger coaches now to do?
Oh, the younger, yeah. When I started, I was the youngest on the staff. Now, I hate to say I'm one of the oldest guys, or might be the oldest guy on the staff now. So yeah, I rely on the younger guys and let them do that stuff.
They wear a lot of hats, including scout team fullback. So give them some love if you want to run down the guys that are helping you get this Eagle squad off to such a great start.
Yeah, assistant coaches do a great job. Clint Varner, he runs our defense. JT Milan runs our offense, defensive lines, and helps me out tremendously with the offense. Brandon Miller takes care of the special teams. And then on game days, usually, and sometimes they're able to help us in the week, is Santino Paris and Luke Lloyd help out. They're 2 of my former quarterbacks that I used to coach that have come back to help me out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Love having those guys back.
You, in your second year, went from winless to a 6-team squad that, and correct me if I'm wrong, your third year made the playoffs, 2013, 6 wins in 12, 6 wins and 13. Lost to Stowe Rocks. First playoff game since 1976, if I'm not mistaken. That had to have been a special season.
Oh yeah, definitely. That 2012 and 2013, because 2012, just to win those 6 games, we went 6-3. That was our first winning season since 1994. So that was, and I think that year I was in 8th grade. So I hadn't even made it to the varsity team yet. So it had been a long time. And even when I took over in 2011, I believe the number was we had won 4 games in the previous 8 years. So it was very down, and to have those 2 years, 2012 and 2013, and turn everything around was pretty special. And got a lot of support from the hometown fans and everything. And definitely seeing that again this year too, which is exciting, seeing the stands full.
Made the playoffs again at 14, losing to North Catholic. 2-win season in 15-16, 1 win in 17, 2 wins in 18, 1 win in 19, sort of slipping back into the struggles. But then, bam, of all years, the COVID year, you guys end up winning 5 games, off to a 3-0 start. You win 5 games, lose to Jeanette in the postseason. Again, sort of, you go from a struggling program winning 1 in 19. Now 20 was a strange year for everybody, but what helped with that success?
I think we had a good team that year. Everything kind of came together. The summer workouts, I think, really helped us when we were allowed to eventually start summer workouts. That everybody showed up for everything because they weren't allowed to do anything else for COVID. But it was definitely a strange year, and I felt bad for those kids because there was almost nobody to see them play.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think each kid got like 2 tickets to each game, so there might have been 50 people in the stands. It was a very bizarre year, very bizarre.
4-0 this season, fresh off an 18-6 victory over West Green. We'll talk about that game in a moment. What really stands out about the start is how stingy the defense has been. You've allowed 6 points in each of your 4 victories. That is going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, our defense is playing tremendous right now. Hats off to those kids that are starting on defense. They're very aggressive. They like hitting people, and they're very good tacklers so far. So if we can keep that up and keep that going, we're going to be a tough team to beat.
You lean on a sophomore at quarterback.
He's actually a junior this year.
Okay, junior. All right. Well, I was trying to help you out, Coach. I'm sorry.
I wish.
Give him an extra year. But
that's right.
Red shirt sophomore. Right. But the junior, Charlie Rush, has done the nice job not only throwing the ball but running the ball as well. Again, everybody's doing their fair share, but are there concerns that when you're asking when the hits that he's taking that are going to start to mount up? Any concerns there?
Not really. We kind of spread the ball around pretty good.
You don't live within your fears.
That's right. He's definitely our leader and the leading guy too on the field, rushing the ball. But with our wing T offense, we kind of split it up between him, Noah Kimberland, and Bryce Wright. All 3 of them are right around or over 200 yards rushing right now for the season. So it kind of makes you can't really key on one, basically, is what we try to get to. And if we can get it divided up amongst 3 guys, it makes it a lot tougher on the defenses we play too.
What stood out about your conference opener? Hard-fought game at home against West Green. You guys scored the only touchdown in the first half, add another one in the third quarter, and then both teams scoring in the fourth quarter. 18-6 victory against the Pioneers. Sum that up for us.
They were a tough team. They ran the ball right at you, so we had to really suck it up and stop their run game. I think what the really thing that I was impressed with was how we made a couple mistakes there, especially in the second half, a couple turnovers. and we didn't blink. Our kids just kept playing, and that's what I preached to them. You're going to make mistakes. If we have a fumble, we lose a fumble. Just keep playing. We can't put our heads down and lose the game because of that. And to their credit, they just kept playing the game and just stuck to the game plan. And to their credit, it worked out.
The confidence level's got to be pretty high within this group. Is that something, whether it's before the season, whether it's during the season, that you can feel as a coach, whether your team is blossoming with confidence or really in need of some confidence?
I think you can tell when the games start. And a lot of it for me, how I can tell is communication on the field. When they're communicating and everybody's pointing everything out and talking to each other, I feel like our team has tons of confidence. They know what they're doing, and it's going to be hard for the other team. When you can see when we go silent or we're very quiet as a team and not talking much on the field, that's when I think we're second guessing ourselves, and that's when I think problems arise. But to their credit, we've been great at communication so far this year and calling everything out, and I think that gives us confidence, and it's really helped us a lot.
Kind of a big one coming up. I know it's only week 4.
Yes.
But the second week of Tri-County South Conference play, another home game. You guys welcome in a California team that had a very emotional victory, a hard-fought victory against Bentworth, in which they scored late, went for 2, got the win, and defeated the Bearcats 8-7. I think a lot of people felt those two teams that, California and Bentworth, teams to watch in the conference, along with defending champion Jefferson Morgan, which is off to a great start. So nice win over West Green. Now you got to focus on the Trojans. Talk a little bit about that challenge.
Yeah, and they're always a tough team. Very well coached by Ed Woods, who's been around a long time as well. I used to play against him when he was the head coach at Best Center. So went against him many times. Like I said, his teams are always prepared, always ready, and always very well coached. It's going to be a big challenge for us. They got a lot of big guys up front. They run the ball very well. They got a big running back, Malachi Peaks. He's about 230 pounds. You don't see a lot of big guys that size at Class A, so he's going to be a challenge to get on the ground at play after play after play. So it brings a lot of different challenges. Yeah, they like to use a lot of different formations too and test your knowledge and make sure you can adjust well. And if you don't get adjusted, then they're going to gash you for a big one. So it's definitely going to be a big challenge for us.
And that's where that communication comes into play.
Exactly. You got to get lined up right. And that's one thing we preach. Pre-snap, got to get lined up right.
And again, I think this is a Coach Woods thing, but you think of California, you think physical.
Yes.
But they always seem to have that big Jerome Bettis type running back, don't they? They always seem to like that dude should be playing, especially in Class A offensive line. Instead, here he is running 75 yards for pay dirt. So those are common denominators when you
the guys like Jelani Stafford.
Yeah,
he was an amazing running back in the day.
Yep.
Those guys are all tough.
So big challenge coming up, and really, every game is going to be a challenge from here on in, because especially now that you're team of the week, you're not going to be flying under the radar. So this is sort of maybe a catch-22, which I apologize for if it's taking the cover off and unveiling, that the Avella Eagles are a pretty darn good football team.
And we talk about that. I always tell them it doesn't get easier from here; it gets harder. You're going to be a marked team. So I've already explained that to our guys. It's going to get harder. There's no more easy games.
Yeah, and that's the way you want it, right? I mean, if you want to be playing football well into November, you're gonna have to meet a lot of challenges. You don't sneak up on anybody in October and November.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah, earn your stripes. The Eagles are trying to reach the postseason. I know that's a long ways away. Once again, I'll challenge you here. You're Mr. Avella, so I'll challenge you. The last time the Avella Eagles won a playoff game was
a playoff game. It was probably the 1961 season.
Very good.
My
Very
dad was,
nice.
yeah, that was my dad's championship year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Washington Township, is that Washington High School now?
That's a great question. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
I don't know that either, where Washington Township was, but that's the school that the Eagles beat 13-0 to win the 1961 championship. Third championship, by the way, for Avella. They also won 20 years earlier in 1941. And no, I was not around for that one. Or 1957, wasn't around for that. And I was not around in 61. So let's clear the air there. I want to ask you this. First of all, and you don't have to comment, but I loved your comment when Chris Harlan asked you, about newsworthy items last week. Shady Side Academy roster of 40. Half of them were apparently injured or unable to go, so they pulled out of the game against Clairton, a non-conference game that drew a lot of attention. And your comment was, especially in your situation with the low numbers to begin with, you guys don't even, that mindset doesn't even exist. You guys are, Avella became famous in 2008 when one of the cheerleaders came and helped field a team so that they could finish their schedule. Just absolutely love that mindset. You can say something to it or you cannot. That's up to you.
It's you always want to play the games.
Yeah.
The ones we've had to forfeit in the recent past, we were down to 9 or 10 guys, and we were only dressing 13 or 14 with the games we were playing. So that was the same year. I think the last time we dressed 12 against Fort Cherry. So like I said before, we show up.
Good. That's why you guys outside of the Avella School District and even Washington County, there's a lot of respect for what you, your staff, and your players, that mindset that you guys have. One more thing, and again, I hope I'm not putting you in an uncomfortable situation here, but the new format for the WPIAL playoffs, and this could be something that affects you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Top 3 teams, there's 4 conferences in Class A, 16 teams make the playoffs. Old school, before last year, was top 4 teams from each conference make it to the playoffs. Now it's top 3 teams plus 4 teams that the WPIAL Football Steering Committee selects as wild card teams. That could be the 4th place team from all 4 conferences. It could be 3 teams from one conference. Again, it's in the committee's hands. The Tri-County South does not have a great reputation for having success, especially come the month of November. Do you like that idea? Do you like that? Because it was a year ago that there was a 3-way tie for 3rd place in the TCS. Jefferson Morgan was 1st, California 2nd. Bentworth, Carmichael's, and West Green all finished tied for 3rd. They do the tiebreakers, and it was Bentworth that finished 3rd, so they clinched. I believe it was Carmichael's that was 4th, but the 4th place team from the Tri-County South did not go. A 5th team from the Eastern Conference went. Do you think that should or should not be going on? Again, this is and let me interrupt. I can ask whatever question I want. I certainly don't want someone to see this, and depending on how you answer, there be ramifications. But to me, I will say, I have no idea. I understand when there are legitimate wild cards, if you don't want to rely on a mathematical equation, I understand that. This is sort of the Upper St. Clair role from 2 years ago, when they had a great season and missed out on the mathematical equation. But if you have 4 conferences and the top 16 make it, why not have the top 4 from each conference go?
Yeah, and I think when you start bringing the human element into things like that, I think there's, whether you want to admit it or not, that there's definitely the potential for a bias to come in.
Sure.
And that's, that I don't know that we need that, especially when it works out even and that you could just take the top four like you've been doing. I think that would be the best system. I kind of think if you've ever heard Mike Leach talking about for college for the committees they always form, and he was never a fan of those. And I don't know that that's the answer. I like the old format when they selected the top four. It eliminated any bias at all. Then you didn't have to worry about that. You knew what you had to do to earn a playoff spot.
Yeah. Again, I think in some classifications that if you want to do that instead of doing the equation because you have to use the equation, well, that's fine. But if there's two conferences and you're taking 8 teams, then the top 4 in each conference just makes way too much sense. And again, I'm not sure how you determine that a 5th place team from one conference was better than a 4th place team from another. And let's be honest again, the Tri-County South does not have a great reputation, especially outside of the Washington, Greene County areas. So I just hope that doesn't come back to haunt, whether it be you guys or another team like we saw last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm fighting for you, Ryan. I'm fighting for you.
Thank you.
Ryan Cecchini, 15th year as the head coach of the Avella Eagles and doing a wonderful job. Again, sometimes you just got to not even look at the records. Yeah, they're getting a lot of love now because they're 4-0. But sometimes you sit back and admire what a staff is doing or what a group of kids is doing, even if they are not destined to reach the WPIAL playoffs. That's been the case a lot of years, but this team could be a little different, and we could be talking about them in November. Best of luck against California, and best wishes. Stay healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the number one thing. But thank you very much for having me, Don.
Ryan Cecchini, head coach of the Avella Eagles, our WPIAL Week 3 Team of the Week. We thank Ryan for joining us. We thank Chris Lackner as well. I'm Don Rebel. We thank you, as always, for joining us on the Rebel Yell podcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.